Hey guys, welcome to another New World video. So in today's video I thought we could talk about the drama that is swirling around with these Tempest Heart replicas. As many of you I am sure know, yesterday in the patch the Tempest Heart replicas were added to the game. These were crafted armor and weapons much like the Lazarus and Genesis replicas we could make before, with a couple of big differences. For one, they have really small perk pools, which meant that the potential rolls on them were very limited. For example, the weapons cannot naturally roll vicious or keen, so in order to have this perk on a weapon, you would need to manually add it. And there is no possible way to get the secondary being the alternative. So if you placed vicious on the weapon, you wouldn't get keen as a secondary. And if you placed keen, you wouldn't get vicious as the secondary. So best in slot on weapons really is not possible here, which isn't a bad thing was my first thought. The reason I thought this was because you could force 600 rolls on these weapons on the PTR, and on live yesterday when it hit. So my assumption was this is awesome. They are providing players who are more casual or players who are new with mid-tier legendaries that will work to motivate play, hype them up to progress, and encourage running Tempest. What a great move by AGS, I thought. But then later, nope. A few hours after I posted my video, boom, they post on the forums that it is a bug, and they disable crafting them. And then they say they are changing them to be like the other replicas. So basically, they are making them as useless as the other gear that no one makes, and choosing to water newly added stuff down so that no one really cares about it. Now, before you scroll down to the comments and post something about how you could roll the armor with a resilience perk forced, you could potentially get refreshing, and roll a best in slot armor for what seems too easy and too cheap. Let me explain why I think this makes no sense to remove right now, and why I feel like in the game right now, it is in fact not overpowered compared to the other ways of doing exactly the same thing. Okay, so in order to push the Tempest replicas to 600 gear score with rares, you will require the major trophies, which run you about 100k to craft or buy. Armor trophies are extreme in value because, as we know, they also apply to jewel crafting, which has always kept them at a very high value. So not everyone has these. Then on top of that, you will require the full armor outfit or weaponsmithing outfit respectively. Now that you have all of this stuff, you can push the replicas to a fat guaranteed 600 using rares. If you don't have these things, you can still do this. You simply will need to use Asmodium, runic leather, and other cooldown materials associated with the item to push it to 600 without the trophies and so on. So either way you can push these to 600, but both ways require a substantial investment of time, coin, and training. And in the end, the item you make is bound. So you can't sell it even if you don't get the roll you needed. And as we know, most of the time you won't. So the first reaction that I've seen many have on Reddit and on the forums was this will ruin the economy. And I am afraid I have to greatly disagree with this. To me, this seemed like it would give rares no one uses value, as people will be burning them. It will give great value to runs in Tempest for the potential drops you can sell or use to make these. It would serve to encourage people to train trade skills, which many have overlooked lately and all but forgotten because it has been the opinion of many they aren't worth it anymore. And it will encourage people to play. People want that dopamine hit from rolling things, and the gold color gives it. Now, these things will never be the very best, but they are a great jump off point for many who aren't in huge companies and can't afford to burn 1000 Asmodium in a day rolling for Abyss. So instead of having them unable to really do anything, or having them farm 2 weeks for 5 rolls getting 5 purples that are trash, they had this to keep them excited and playing. Now that I've argued why I think it was a great addition, let's have a look at why I think it makes zero sense to remove it. Right now in the game there exist patterns. These patterns drop from arenas. These arenas have a very low barrier of entry. Anyone 60 plus can do them in just about any gear. They are not very difficult. AGS has also in the past couple of patches made the arena keys drop from elites cost almost nothing to craft, so you could if you wanted spam these all day, and many do. These patterns that commonly drop, the price is falling every day, and there are pages of them on my server's market, craft armor for every slot. There are 3 variants, Sprigganbane, Raider, and Mossborn. Now, the perk buckets for these are huge, and you can roll just about anything. But here's the important part I think we need to consider here. Without trophies, without armor or gear, without anything, not even Azoth contributed to the craft, I can force a guaranteed 600 legendary, and this legendary could very easily roll best in slot. And did you notice? I didn't use rares. I used tier 2 regular crap materials like linen and coarse leather, and still received a 600 gear score legendary. I will do it again for you. See? So here's where I am confused and frustrated with AGS' decision to freeze Tempest crafting. This exists. These patterns. They require almost no investment, they are gotten from one of the easiest activities at endgame, and they require no gear or trophies to make. But you say the replicas were overpowered and game breaking, and all this fun people were having had to come to a stop? Like for real, AGS, people want to roll gear, people want to feel rewarded for their time, even if replicas are mid-range welfare legendaries that most high-tier players would never use. Let people have this one win. Don't ruin it by making them like the other garbage replicas. In fact, I would go as far to say limit the Lazarus and Genesis perk buckets and make them forcible 600 also. Reward people for putting in the time in these expeditions. And a very, very simple solution exists for the potential people are talking about in terms of these being game-breaking or overpowered. Simply remove refreshing from the perk bucket. Then you can't roll resilience and refreshing. Simple. Now it won't be overpowered. But really the main thing here is, how can the replicas be overpowered and too easy and need to be removed, but the patterns can be working as intended in the same game? This makes zero sense to me, and if someone sees something I'm missing here, please feel free to post it in the comments. But as far as I can see, these patterns are 1,000 times easier than the replicas, require less investment in materials and resources, and are easier to get than the damn flesh from Tempest. Anyway guys, I just wanted to talk about this in hopes that someone from AGS may get this repeated to them, giving people some mid-tier rewards that are flashy and fun. This is not game breaking. This is the shit that keeps people playing. Every MMO does it. So really, why bother blocking it? And if you're going to block the Tempest replicas, why leave these the way they are? I mean really, if you're going to ruin all of the fun from crafting, you might as well take these patterns and make them not roll guaranteed 600s anymore, because this doesn't make any sense. Anyway guys, sorry for my rant. I just wanted to really talk about this because it was driving me crazy today. I don't understand how both things can exist in the same game, but one can be seen as overpowered and the other seen as working as intended. It doesn't make any sense. Plus, they've made the crafting system so unbearably annoying and grindy that people are feeling a loss more than they're feeling rewarded. I'm not saying to make best in slot stuff easy to get or whatever, but you have to give some kind of a kickback for crafting to keep people doing it because the investment's too big. Anyway, guys, that was all I really had to say about that. I just wanted to point out because a lot of people didn't even really understand how these patterns worked and how easy they really were. So they were getting all freaked out about the replicas when these patterns have been around for a while and people have been using them. That's why they're on the market for 5,000 to 8,000 coin each, which really isn't that big of an investment considering they'd be crafted with tier 2 materials. Okay guys, that's all I really have to say about this. And as always guys, thanks for watching and I will see you in the next one.